Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the King Leo Show. I'm your host, King Leo. How's everyone doing tonight? I'll admit I'm a little tired and not in the best of moods, but not in the worst of moods. Um, we have to talk. Dude, I get up this morning. I get up this morning, and I'm like, it's a great day to be Hispanic. I wake up, I look at myself in the mirror. I have this Indian hair, this Iberian nose, this African lip. It's a great day to be Hispanic. I'm incredibly pleased. Venezuela just won the baseball classic. And then I see that one of the most important Hispanic heroes, Cesar Chavez, has been accused 6 decades after the fact of being a pedo, of doing some doing some nasty stuff. And I have to talk about it because I've always been a fan of him. How you doing, Mystery Lou? I was a fan of Cesar Chavez's immigration policy. That's what I always look, man. Whether you love illegals or hate them, Cesar Chavez was an interesting guy because he wanted the American Hispanic to have his own identity within America. Now, we may disagree and say that's not how it has to be or something, but he stood up for a culture that I've always found interesting, the Chicano culture, the Mexican American culture, which is it's receding, it's going away, it's being replaced with straight Hispanic culture. And that was always an interesting thing. So I've always had an admiration of the guy, a real anthropologist. And then I see the New York Times putting out this, and I'm suspicious as to why this story is being put out. Because, I'm not saying he was a great guy. I'm not saying he didn't do any of this, but I'm just saying 6 decades after the fact, I thought we had legalized comedy. I thought woke was over, the woke mind virus. Remember that? I thought that it was done. Like we were good. People couldn't be canceled anymore. 60 years after the fact, he's been dead for like 30 years. The New York Times wants open borders. Dude, I don't want to get into it right now, but I feel like something has to do with that. And I always felt he was underrated. I always felt that people, look, I'm a Malcolm X head. I love Malcolm X. I have my admiration of MLK to an extent. And I always felt like, Cesar Chavez is always a footnote outside of California. And I always was like, he'd probably hate me. He didn't want any immigration. But, he was a cool guy. He was an interesting guy. And then they just do this. So now that we're canceling people again, can I get the contract on renaming the streets? What are we going to call them? Big Pappy Avenue instead of Cesar Chavez Way? I'm very disappointed, but we're gonna talk about it, right? Whatever. Marco Rubio's still keeping it down, I guess. He's still making us look okay. Let's look at the plugs and we'll get into the show. We have a lot to get through. This Joe Kent thing is crazy. As usual, the links are in the description, or are they? Let me double check. How you doing, Audio Vibes? The links in the description. Rubio's still keeping it down, I guess. Oh, our audio's good. Yes, they are. Okay. So here you have the Discord, which is free, and I haven't been active, and I'm sorry, guys. I got back in the gym, and I'm fucking sore. A year off. I took a year off, but I didn't lose much strength, which is not odd. You don't lose much strength if you're doing progressive overload. But I lost, it's not called stamina. There's another technical term. And so I'm moving like a geriatric. I'm moving like Biden. I'm doing the Biden. But I'll get on this. Yeah, I ate everything since. I didn't even see that. Hope he shows up. How you doing, Eves? We have the Discord in the description, the Patreon in the description, which is $5 or $20 a month. For some reason, YouTube didn't let me post this teaser for the Fight Club one that I did yesterday till today. So now the teaser's on YouTube too. You see the whiteboard there. But you can join here for $5 or $20 a month, and you get in there. And finally, what would a postmodernist do? What would a Piers Morgan do? Parody bracelet available. I think I'm going to do a WWBD one at some point. Make it blue. What would Baudrillard do? No, it's not endurance. Dude, let me ask fucking AI. Let me do this in a private tab. Let me do that. Hang on. Let me ask AI. Gemini. This is the best AI, man. What is it called when you don't lose muscle after being out of the gym, but you can't do as much on your double drop set. It's not stamina. There's another thing. It's called decreased work capacity or metabolic conditioning loss. You've maintained your hypertrophy, but you haven't gotten that. It's called the stay factor, work capacity. Yeah, it's like you're in a state of detraining, but you haven't hit atrophy. So interesting stuff. I was like, I can't believe I took that so much time off. It was not a good idea, but whatever. We live. We're out here. Is this too bright? I think this is a little bright. I had this light last night, so all right. Let's get into the show. I didn't know that A. Philip Randolph had the same immigration policy, sir. I really thought the Bernie heads would come out to support Cesar because, you know, they are more understanding on the immigration stuff, but seems like they didn't. So, all right, let's get into it. We have a lot to get through, man. A lot to get. This country's gone to hell in a handbasket since I got back. So, firstly, we have to look at the president who said this. This is from the 11th, but it's been haunting me for a week. Okay, I go to sleep every night, and I'm worried. I leave my house. I check my car for bombs. Why? Because there are Iranian sleeper cells in the United States. I'm worried about Turkey Point, my local nuclear reactor. I'm out here every day waiting for the FBI to put out a picture. Tell me, this is how you identify an Iranian sleeper cell. And no one seems to be taking this seriously, dude. I am very scared. And you should be too. I mean, this is cortisol spiking stuff. These Iranians are in our country. And at any moment, they're going to sell you a kebab. No. Kebab's not even Persian. They're going to shoot you or do 9/11. I'm very concerned. I look at the Miami skyline and I go, wow, maybe we'll be missing a building tomorrow. These Iranian sleeper cells are scary. And so this was not reassuring at all. This is what Mr. Trump said about the Iranian sleeper cells. And I'm very, very confused as to what the actual messaging is. I love a kebab too, Eves. The best kebabs I've had are in Europe, man, in Italy. Those Turks make some good kebab.
They try to hit us back. Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them, I think.
Is it dozens?
They came in through the open border.
You think? What? You think? No. What? What do you mean we think we have our eye on them? What the hell is all this NSA money going to? What do you mean you think, President Trump? I'm out here worried that an Iranian sleeper cell is going to tickle my feet when I'm asleep or something. And the president's reassurance is that he thinks we have our... Can't be the case, man. What has happened to this country? We can't even... Dude, didn't we spend 20 years? Didn't we know where every Muslim was in the world for 20 years? How do we not know where they are? Where are these damn sleeper cells? I'm not confident, man. I'm not confident. That is cortisol spiking stuff. Let's continue. I wanted to show you this today. And we're going to bring back one of my hot takes on caning with this. Today, we're getting our first Indian feather, not the Department of Homeland Security guy. And he was sparring off with Mr. Rand Paul today. And Rand Paul, I'll have you remember, I think the reason he took this so seriously is because Rand Paul, a lot of people say, it was unfair. It was a sucker punch. He got his bitch ass beat up. I guess reading all that Rothbard didn't help him out when his neighbor got mad over property rights. You know, you can be non-aggression principle, but at the end of the day, when you spray Roundup on your neighbor's lawn by accident, it's going to come to blows, fellas. It's going to be Lord of the Flies out there. So let's see him here be incredibly angry at our Indian. It was a Bernie support. Yeah, so where was that non-aggression principle with the Bernie supporter that beat his ass? And you'd expect a libertarian to know a little bit of jujitsu, a little bit kung fu. Don't they all listen to the Joe Rogan podcast?
In the days after the fight, you did many interviews in which you justified the violence as historically justified by precedents, such as caning and dueling. Is it today your opinion that the caning of Charles Sumner was not only justified, but argues still for resolving our political differences with?
We got to pause here, and this is my take that I've said before, but I'll say it again. Absolutely, Rand Paul. Absolutely. The caning of Charles Sumner was fucking epic. I wasn't there for it. I've seen the pictures, the drawings. There's no pictures of it. It was epic. And the reason it was epic is because I guarantee you that while Charles Sumner was getting his ass beat with a cane, and that was old-timey canes, I'm sure that had some silver on it, he really cared about slavery. And the man assaulting him really cared about your rights to own slaves. And we've been conditioned with the slave mentality.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind.
To expect our politicians to not beat each other to a pulp. But the truth is, if they ain't caning, I gotta have something there. If they ain't caning, they don't care about you, man. If they're not caning each other, they don't care. The day you see Bernie Sanders hold up a cane in the Senate and beat someone's ass is the day that you should start signing up for Medicare for all, because it's gonna happen. That is the only way you can measure if a politician cares. And Rand Paul to ask this question. I'm sorry, Rand Paul. I trust Charles Sumner getting his ass beat more than any of you people in Congress right now. More than any of them. If I were a slave owner and I was watching Charles Sumner getting his ass beat, I'd be like, we might have a chance at keeping this slavery thing. We might have a chance. At the end of the day, you lose, but you lose because it comes to blows. So this idea of caning, it's barbaric. It's for the Ugandans. No. Where is the passion, as Eve says? Where's the love? Where is your... I'm going to stand 10 toes down. I'm going to eat this assault charge because I believe in your right to Medicare for all. You know, where is that? Obama didn't cane anyone. He passed some shitty ACA. I bet if he were caning people, we'd have some better shit. How you doing, Efra? Efra says, which player has the smartest strategy? Player A is all about expansionism at all costs, even if the cost of maintaining this is exponentially increased over time. Or player B knows when to give up territory so that this primary objective is not compromised. On the way out, sets up a corruptible network and relays information back and later can retake the territory when conditions change. And A makes a mistake. Which player has the most effective strategy? We should... Efra, that's a great question. Have you asked ChatGPT or Gemini? I would like to know the answer. But I would take it in another direction of saying player A, what you're describing is the Faustian and Spenglerian terms. And I think that they can't help themselves. You know, the Faustian spirit is something that cannot be helped. They want, I bought her the whole world and it wasn't enough, you know? And player B, the Magian, has been unsuccessful for the past 1,000 years. I think that's how long we give Western civilization as a whole. But it could be turning around. I don't disagree with you. But in terms of game theory, it'd be interesting to ask Gemini. I'll actually copy and paste this, put this as Gemini. This is a really good question, Efra. I like that a lot. But yeah, we don't have any updates on the war today, I don't think. But, well, it's kind of with Joe Kent. But seems to not be going super well. I think I'm going to start posting updates that I'm getting through Gemini of really how to survive it with $200 a barrel, which may be coming. I actually agree with you. I think after you said something about Joe Kane yesterday that I agree with too. That I was like, no, that can't be the case. I think it was you, or I hate everything. I guess they were right.
Violence.
What I was simply pointing out is some of the rules that still apply to this body. For instance, dueling with 2 consenting adults is still there. I was pointing out what is
Been
still
illegal for
acceptable.
170 years. There's no precedent for legal dueling. Even then, they fled the country. Do you realize that the man that beat Charles Sumner with a cane, he beat him till he was unconscious? You know why no senators intervened? Because his friend held a gun on the other senators, and he kept beating him until he crushed his skull. That's what you're insinuating is the precedent of the Senate, and that's what you live by. That is a very, very dangerous sentiment.
Dude, this non-aggression principle thing is just, it's ridiculous. I don't understand what libertarians want. What do they want? Okay, yeah, so he stopped beating him when someone had a gun. If they had guns in Congress, I bet they would be a little bit more effective. And dueling is legal in Washington. It's called mutual combat. Not with guns, obviously, with your fists. But what is this pussy ass libertarian crap, man? I don't believe in aggression. I believe in aggression. I don't believe in the non-aggression principle. I believe in the aggression principle. I believe in that. If Rand Paul had the stones to go to blows, I bet they could have ended the Fed. Because Ron Paul was up there talking his whole life, talking his whole damn life. What do we get for it? I know Dave Smith is going to come in here and be like, he turned the country around. No, he didn't. Look at the budget. Ron Paul walks into Congress. He says, hey, if we are raising the debt limit, that's fine. You have to fight me. I've been training 2-3 year Dagestan and forgets. Okay, I've been in Dagestan in the mountains. So you can pass that shit, but we're going to fight. I bet you they would think twice about that budget. But instead we have Rand Paul here angry at a minority, at our Indian, Native American, Indigenous Peoples, First Nations DHS nominee, because the man's just trying to keep it real, keep it 100. Baudrillard said, Baudrillardians check in, that's one of the last real things. How you doing, Corey? I haven't seen you before. How you doing, Hammer Forge? I haven't seen Corey here before. What the fuck are you talking about? Right was like, Pretty shouldn't have a gun at protest, but Kyle Rittenhouse is your hero. I don't think you know what this channel's about, Corey. I don't know what you're talking about. But okay. Iron Hammer says, how you doing, sir? Listening to talkers makes me thirsty. Right. I don't want to listen to talkers. I want to listen to thumpers, people that are willing to go to bat. Let's settle this healthcare thing. We're going to have Mike Johnson versus Bernie Sanders. They get 6 months to train. PEDs allowed. They can get on that trend. They can get on anything. Whoever wins, we get it. We get Medicare for all. We get dystopian Jeff Bezos pharmacy. But let's just settle the debate. Let's continue. We have to show this. This is really something, man. Corey's talking about the right. Right was like, Freddie shouldn't have a gun at a protest, but Kyle Rittenhouse is your hero. Oh, I see what. I thought you were insulting me, Corey. Yeah, I don't agree with that thing with the Freddie thing, personally. But that's just me, because I like guns. But yeah. And the Rittenhouse trial was one of the more interesting moments that I've ever got to see. It was the best spectacle. We had the best spectacle, the greatest. Pete Hegseth posted this. This is one of our troops on TikTok. Our TikTok troops, our TikTok plebeians, who's had this to say about our lovely land of America.
Hey, I don't know who need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people be talking shit about America. Hey, if you don't like America, go to another country, bitch. I love this country. I'll protect this bitch.
I mean, I completely agree with him. People were saying, oh, look at Pete Hegseth posting this ignorant, bad words. I completely agree with this martial spirit. I love this bitch. Colombia with a U. I love Colombia. She gave us the America. I would die for Walmart. I would die for the Target Corporation. I love America. If we had, I feel like Colonel Kurtz, people are like, oh, these people, you know, these blacks, you know, that's what you see in the comments, you know, Pete Hegseth posting these blacks. And I feel like Colonel Kurtz, if I had 10 battalions of these men, our troubles here would be over in a week. Drop them off. Anyone who has this warrior ethos, everyone wants to be a Bronze Age warrior till it's time to do Bronze Age warrior things. What is the military? Is the grunt supposed to be like, oh, I really do love America. It's the greatest place in the world. But despite that, I believe our geopolitical interests. No, I want the most jingoistic, insane person that is willing to die for my rights to go to the Rite Aid and goes to Iran and kills everyone there for us to win. That's what I want. Why would I want intellectuals in the army? You know what? A lot of intellectuals in the army, the Nazis, and where did they end up? I rest my case. Starship Troopers, exactly. We need people to settle down a little bit, maybe even drop a couple of IQ points. And we want to go, listen, I don't give a shit about the geopolitical interests of this country. I don't care about that. What I care about is that they told me that was the bad guy and he's trying to end my life. And I love, what's that store called in New York? I love Nike, so I'm going to kill you. That's what you want from your troops. What else do you want? What else? What do you want? Ignorant. All right, perfect. Ignorant. All right, very nice. Yeah, let's call him ignorant for trying to defend our damn country. Listen, man, you can agree or disagree with this war. We're in it now, dude. I need that Strait of Hormuz open real quick. Otherwise, these gas prices are going to kill me. So if this guy can settle the score, then let's fucking do it, dude. I don't care. Strap me to the fucking hellfire and throw me at the Lucas throne. The Shahid. I'm ready. I'm ready, Mr. President. Strap me to the Lucas throne and send me at the Ayatollah. Why not? Why not? I'm ready. Dr. Strangelove. Top 7 IQ maximum. That's a good one. I had to show you this, dude. I have to gloat a little bit here. I have to gloat a little tiny bit here. To gloat, let me pull this up. This was my video that I made last year where I said that Trump could not fix America. That it was not possible. It's not possible. So let me show it. This used to be my intro video, but I changed it recently. Let me book this up because I used expert talk here. Will not. All right, let me bring up the part that I thought where I predicted all of this with the DOGE thing. Let me see this here. There we go. Here we go. Let's do this. Before we watch what the struggle session the DOGE kids are going through. Okay? I called this a year ago. Let's do this.
Housing. Well, we have this unelected fourth
new DOGE stuff that all to say, you know, fixing things.
This is crazy.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do a number on them. We're gonna fuck them so hard. We're gonna fix this, yeah?
Especially, you know, this new DOGE stuff that they're doing, the White House.
Well, we have this unelected fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it's not. It does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix.
It's just a waste of time. No one wants things fixed. I'm not even sure what people actually want, but I can definitely tell you we live in an uglier, worse world. No matter your politics, no matter if you're left or right, since you were born.
All right. When did I say this about DOGE? I said this 1 year ago. February 20th of 2025. Look at that. I said that about Doge. And in the comments, we'll do that on Friday. I got a bunch of bullshit about, you're crazy. Doge is going to fix everything. You're a fucking idiot. All right, let's see. Does this look like the face of someone who fixed everything? Because to me, this looks like Big Jeff's deposition. Let's play that, actually.
Could you please give us your name? Jeffrey Epstein.
Molly my bean, Molly my bean, Molly my bean, Molly my bean.
When you have the Big Jeff background, I think that you lost. I think that's when it's over. Okay? You lost. You did not win. You did not accomplish the mission. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not, listen, you failed. You didn't win. It's okay. Sometimes, listen, everybody's got to learn sometime, okay? You can't always win. It's just not possible. Dude, Christoph doesn't allow it for any of the Truman Show fans in here. Christoph won't allow it. But you can call it before it even starts. You can say it's not going to work. And I said it. And they were, well, who's the idiot now? Okay? Efra says, was your uncle called Escobar? No, he was not. I'll grow out the mustache and the soul patch one of these days. Let's watch this. Let's watch this child here be depositioned.
The small agency's work ultimately was winding down in around July because there was growing tension between Elon and the White House, and the desire to cut spending from the White House started to reduce for political reasons, I assume, and so I got transitioned to immigration after that.
Were you privy at all to those tensions between Elon and the White House about cutting spending?
Can you be more specific?
Well, you referenced it vaguely, and it wasn't clear to me whether you had like firsthand knowledge of meetings or conversations about that issue, or whether you were just referring to things you read in the press.
I had firsthand knowledge of the tension between Elon and the president.
What did I tell you? I said this wasn't going to work. It was obvious it was not going to work. You know when I really knew it wasn't going to work? When they went into that cave where we keep our documents, and they're like, Elon Musk with his stupid accent. We look at these documents and they're on paper. Why would they do that? Why would they have them on paper? Well, maybe it's for security. Maybe that's why we have the nukes on, if they even exist at this point, on floppy disk. But now this kid has to eat this. By the way, you don't chew gum at your deposition. And I also wonder, my producer is the one who brought up the question, and it's true. This guy's like 22. So he started this at like 20, maybe 19. How can you be angry at the budget at like 19 years old, 20 years old? I didn't go to school with anyone like this guy. I don't know if anyone else did. I'm not even shitting on him. I just don't understand that level of autism where you're like 15 years old in high school and you're like, the budget is too much. The budget is going crazy. You know, it just wasn't my concern. I was busy, following, I guess I was retarded too. I was like following Venezuelan politics or whatever. But I was also, like smoking weed, talking to girls, like doing shit you're supposed to do. But this is, you spend your whole 4 years in high school being angry at the budget. Maybe it starts even earlier. Like, how can you be angry about this? I don't get it. But hey, good attempt. You tried your best. And now you're in the pain zone.
Welcome to the pain zone. It's where we live.
Let's continue. We can skip this. We can skip this for tonight. Let's watch here because Schizo Watch is international. Let's watch what Emmanuel Macron posted today called France is Wild. I'm so scared. Oh no, the French are military posting. What are they gonna do? Are they gonna go coup Cameroon or some third world country? Ooh. This is the lowest I have seen France sing to. France, a country that I love. I love France. I have Corsican ancestry. So I don't love it, but I love it, you know? They kind of screwed us, all right? But I can't even say you're not Napoleon, all right? Because you're not. You're French. You're not Corsican like Napoleon. He was Italian and Corsican. Whatever. This is the if you're not aware, France has this thing called l'Académie Française, which sets the terms of the French language. We have one in Spanish too. I forget the name of it. It could just be the Academy. And they literally add words into the dictionary and exclude other ones. And it's very cool because they keep a consistency in the language. So French, if you go anywhere in the world and you speak French, you can understand it. Because there's a reduced mark of accents that are in English, for example, where there's plenty of vernaculars. Or even Spanish, which has a similar system. And for example, the word airbag does not translate to airbag in French. They made up a whole new word for it because they didn't want to corrupt their beautiful language, whatever you want to say. And the president of France is posting in English, France is wild. Someone get the gall, dude. Someone just...
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
Even the French are Anglo posting. It's over. Like, you might as well cuck. Why didn't you send the aircraft carriers to Hormuz? Why didn't you do it? You are writing in English. You are writing in English. Your language is the official language of the Olympics. And you... But it doesn't matter anymore. How do you watch this and you go, this is like jingoistic prowess on the part of France? They're writing it in English. They're writing, dude, you go to France, you go to a McDonald's in France, and they tell you that the potatoes are French. You know, that's how protective they are of being French. And your president comes in here and he's just like, nuke, you know, it's over. No, France is wild. I guess France is wild. I don't know. What are you gonna do? Another coup in Africa? Fucking try to take back Haiti again or something? What are you doing with? You don't know what to do with all that. Give it over here. Give it over here. You don't know what to do with all that. Send it over here to America. Please send it over here. What are you doing with all that? What are you doing? Vietnam, Algeria, World War II, World War I. It's just loss after loss after loss after. And you're out here, France is wild. Yeah, France is wildly unsuccessful in warfare. How about that? Last time you guys did anything good was as Chirac did that. I forgot the country, dude. I don't think it was Burkina Faso. But it was pretty good at putting down some riots in the 2000s. But that's the only... What are we doing? Go after Ibrahim Traore. Right, go to Burkina Faso or something. Why don't you... I feel like the French get to talk a lot, but they don't have to demonstrate a lot. If we're in the age of imperialism, go take Quebec. Go take it back. Take it back. It's just crazy watching the French do this stuff. All right. We have a lot. This is another one I wanted to show. This is from Chinese social media reporting on the war in Iran. Let's watch here what they reported. Interesting stuff.
Another one! Keep moving. Jesus.
So if you couldn't tell, that was made with artificial intelligence. It says here, this video is clearly AI generated. Videos from Kuaisu, a Chinese social media app without guarantee of accuracy, strongly suggest the number of U.S. soldiers who have died is more than reported. So now you can see, despite China's rise, even they, with their Great Firewall and their Great Wall, oh crap, dude, hang on 1 second. Now we're charging the lap. Perfect. Even with their Great Firewall, they can't keep the schizo out. They can't keep it. Like, people in China are making fake footage of the Iran war. Does anyone know what's going on? Does anyone actually know what's going on? Because I feel like we're just wasting our time trying to understand this war.
No, man, I'm here to waste my time.
It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So, you know, China's over there making the same mistakes. All right. All right. All right. I think that's enough Schizo Watch because we have a lot to get through. So let's go over to our other segment.
The people are retarded.
Dude, the goys, my fellow goys. Bro, I've seen a lot of goy fatigue amongst the goys lately, man. Myself included. My producer tells me he goes into a cafe, he talks to people, and they go, these damn goys. And he goes, excuse me, are you Jewish by chance? They go, no, I'm a goy myself. Everyone is getting fed up with the goy. The goy slop. Dude, I don't even know how. Everyone is fed up with the Gentile. Everyone is fed up. It's like everyone is becoming, what would be the opposite of anti-Semitic? You know, like you're like anti-goy. You're just like, dude, you're such a goy, bro. Like, stop being such a goy. Why are you ordering the new quarter pounder with cheese, man? Why are you doing that to yourself? And dude, let's watch how our people are doing. I'm sure we have some Jewish people here as well, which is perfectly fine. Let's watch the goyim, dude. It's just, it's also tiresome.
Look, y'all, I'll do it if y'all can get me out. If y'all can get me out, y'all put some money together to get me out, I'll do it. On my mama. I swear, I'm not even joking. I'll do it. If y'all can get me out. Y'all can get me out and then get me out of America after. I'll do it. For the people. Yeah. Matter of fact, to make it real sweet, on some real shit, if you get my family out of America, I'll suicide bomb the whole fucking... You don't even fucking know. Look, y'all, I'll do it.
Wrap it up, man.
What is there to explain? What is there to explain? I guess we do the PSAs on this channel from time to time. Let's do a PSA. Firstly, this one. If you're thinking about Trump this much, to the point that you are considering murder, you are gay. You're gay. You are a homosexual. You're thinking about another man all day. Why are you thinking about another man? You are gay. And there's nothing wrong with being gay. But just come out of the closet because you are gay. Beat me to it. You're gay. I'm sorry. If you're thinking about another man enough, I have never thought about another man enough that I'm like, I want to kill him. I want to. That is, you have to, it's a thin line between love and hate. Very thin line. If you hate someone that much, dude, you might show up, you might think that you're ready to take him out, and you might just end up kissing him. You might end up kissing him. You might end up French kissing, tongue down his throat, tongue down your throat. You might say, Mr. President, I thought I wanted to do something, but I think I'd rather unzip your pants, man. I don't even know what's come over me. But regardless, PSA number 2, if you hate President Trump and you're gay, his name is Big Bad Booty Daddy on TikTok. You probably shouldn't post it on TikTok. You probably shouldn't. Actually, you probably should. Why don't you do that? Please post it so I know who I can stay away from. I can know who the ugly freaks are.
Disgusting and gross. I mean, he should just be... I don't like ugly, stupid freaks.
Just post it. You might as well just fucking post it, dude. At this point, it's like what Hitler did during World War II, like the Star of David, but for being retarded. If you're retarded, you should please do this, because now you basically have a forehead tattoo here that says, I am retarded. I am retarded. And that's very good. I just post that, dude. It's better that way. That way I know who to avoid. It's insane, man. Insane. You're a security guard, dude. You're making $30 an hour, maybe 40 if you have the license to carry. And you know what you should be thinking about if you're a security guard? You should be thinking about, on the basic level, you should be like the NYPD. You should be scrolling TikTok. You should be looking at big booty girls, food, looks maxing techniques all day. And if not, you should be trying to level up. You should be like Jamie Foxx in Collateral. I need to set up my own security firm so I can make a little bit of money. But no, you spend all day thinking about Trump, and that's why you're fucking broke. Let's continue. Let's watch here. We have to watch a little bit of Piers. We're going to do some Piers watch later. This was so funny. Piers was trying to ride the wave of Mr. Louis Theroux, who interviewed all of the right-winger, I guess right-winger, I don't know, the red pill guys for that documentary, that silly documentary he did. And Piers came in here and he was like, oh, all right, well, I want some of that.
Say the N word, go on.
And he interviewed one of them and he got Piers to walk off. And dude, this goat is losing it, man. Like, this was supposed to be the goat. He was supposed to be the goat, and this is what he's doing now.
Hello. I couldn't care less about your silly little insults. It's like a 2-year-old. Why would I care?
A 2-year-old. Listen, sir, I don't know why you come on and you talk like you're holier than thou. As soon as you're away,
all right,
who's this? Applications are open.
All right, let's just
that's your ting, bro. That's your girl.
Let's end this, please.
Cooked.
You know what? I'm not doing this. Sorry, guys. It's pointless.
Wrong one. Did Jerry Springer ever walk off the Jerry Springer show, Piers? He was your great friend. I don't know, dude, this Groyper curse thing is real. I'm not pissing off any of the Groypers here, I hope. I've seen we have some Groyper fans in the comments, actually. I have no trouble with the Groypers. You know, you guys, maybe we disagree on some stuff, but it's cool. You're welcome here. Because my man Piers, dude, what's going on here? What is this? My God, walking off his own damn show, not asserting dominance at all. Let's check in with our favorite potential homosexual, Benny Johnson, over here, who had this to say in the White House, of all things.
Funniest thing, what Trump has done with the Barack Obama portrait. Check this out.
Is that Robert with a super chat? Dropping in to say hello to my favorite. I appreciate you, Robert. How's Vegas? How you doing, sir? Really appreciate that. Big super chat. I appreciate you, man. How you doing, sir? How's the family? How's everything out there in the desert? You guys having a good time? Really appreciate you. Appreciate you a lot. Appreciate everyone here. But Robert, that's why you're in the Chiron. Let's get another. That's a big super chat. That's a couple air horns. I really appreciate you, Robert. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Doing good. I'm glad to hear, sir. And Mr. Elu says that's supposed to be funny. Family doing great. Glad to hear, Robert. Very happy about that. By the way, Robert, I watched that video you sent me through email. I really appreciate it. By the way, guys, my email I think is there. So if you ever want to email me something for the show or put it in the Discord too, but Robert sent me a pretty cool video about the baby boomers. I'm gonna send that in the Discord. It was a good video. This here, I mean, this is the face of who finds this, you know, like amusing or just. He put the Obama president. That's my Benny Johnson. This is the Benny Johnson. If anyone wants to do a Benny Johnson impression, it's this. It's. I want to go on Tinder. No, I want to go on Grindr. That's Benny. I can't even tell if this is a character he does. This is just he picked the Obama furniture. Dude, I my producer says we should use AI to make it a skit. Eves, you need to teach me the AI stuff. Just like a conservative doing cave paintings, and he's like, you know, in like I don't know, what was it when there were 10,000 BC, just draw Obama is evil. You know, let's draw Obama. Yeah, it's just, dude, how is Obama? No, the email I think is just on the channel page, Eves. It's just on the channel page. How is Obama, dude? I give the libs shit for the Trump thing, but the conservatives think about a black man all day. A black man. They're just, you know, for people that, I don't know, you know, I'm not going to be a stereotype. I have conservative friends. They're not conservative. I have right-wing friends, but not really conservative friends. Why would you be friends with a conservative? So I could hear them talk about how the Cuties movie is shitty 6 years later. Why would I do that? I like the right-wing guys. They're cool. You know, some of them are cool. But anyway, you're supposed to be like racist, right? I mean, that's the idea of it. That's the stereotype. And you're thinking about black cock all day. You're thinking, you are at the White House and you're thinking about where Obama's black cock is on the wall. That you're thinking about BBC. That's what you're thinking about. To quote Elon Musk, you like BBC? You know, that's what you're thinking about? Like, just, is it that or is it the Muslim angle? You know, you're thinking about Muslim cock all day? It's also tiresome, man. I don't get it. If you hate some, look, I don't like some things. Dude. I don't like Ford. I don't like Chevrolet. So I don't think about them. I don't walk around going, "This damn Chevrolet" on the street. I go, yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to think about it. I'll drive Japanese or Chinese when that shows up. Why do you think about it? It's truly sick. It's sick. Let's continue. Let's watch. Speaking of gay, let's watch over here. Tristan Tate enjoying a steak. Look at the grip on that.
Is it good tea? You feel powerful.
If you're ever holding a tomahawk steak like this, which by the way, just a sirloin, it's a ripoff. Don't ever buy this. Buy the sirloin. I love a sirloin, man. If you're ever holding a tomahawk steak like this, you know, like a monkey, and you're being asked, is it good? Do you feel manly? You're gay. Yeah, you're, dude. I'm not picking on the gays. I don't have a problem with gay people. I just, this closeted stuff, it's really odd. Is it good? You like it? Does it melt in your mouth? Dude! Okay, why are you asking me that? I'm just, and he doesn't say anything about it, right? He's like, no, record me, ask me more questions. Yeah. Is it like hot butter in your mouth? Does it go down your throat, real liquid? Yeah. Excuse me, sir. Yo. Okay. We're going to need to back up here. This is crazy talk. I don't know what's going on. What are we doing? Why are they filming this? I have no idea, mystery. Like, why are you why are you asking me these questions? I usually skip this part in the video if I were gay and watched gay porn. Okay. All right, Tristan. All right. Lock them up, dude. Lock these guys up again. Why not? Let's watch over here. Our hero, Bonnie Blue. Let's watch what Bonnie Blue's doing, man. This channel's hero, one of the greatest to ever do it.
Yes.
Deadass, my mom saw that you were coming here on Facebook and she started fucking crying.
What, your mum did?
Yeah.
Why? What's your mum's name?
Elizabeth.
You, Elizabeth. And
chill.
And I will f your son. Elizabeth, watch your son take me to Paris. Oh, you're gonna get scared?
Like, what the oh shit. Do you know who the dad is yet or no?
Not yet.
What the fuck?
But it's gonna be someone.
Yeah.
Imagine the amount of child support I can claim.
Yeah.
So if you couldn't tell, Bonnie Blue's pregnant. And she's in spring break. Where is this? Did they say? I don't know. I assume it's Florida. She's pregnant and she's at the function. This is, brother, if you are a Nietzschean, which I hear a lot of people say, you know, have you ever read Nietzsche? No, me neither. You know, like that there's a lot of fake Nietzscheans out there. This is Nietzscheanism. This is the Uberwomensch. Pregnancy won't stop her. Society won't stop her. Mom's disapproval won't stop her. This is the culmination of the Faustian spirit. It was all for this. It was all for this. It was all for... And everyone is, you know, like, oh, Britain is disgusting for this or something. Isn't Bonnie Blue fixing the TFR? The fertility rate? Isn't she fixing the epidemic of loneliness amongst men? I mean, not my cup of tea, but isn't she fixing a lot of the problems? Aren't these people who are obsessed with fixing things, aren't they, you know, don't they want to fix things? I think she's kind of fixing things. And if the TFR is this bad, for Bonnie Blue, this sounds like a math problem from school. For Bonnie Blue to have one baby, she has to sleep with 1,000 men. There's something wrong in the sperm count, guys. There's something going bad. And she's taking the slings and arrows for society to reproduce itself. She's going to give birth to some British kid. She's fixing the TFR. That's another notch on the belt of England. That's another taxpayer. I mean, how can you be mad? This is someone who's... They don't want to see a woman succeed. They don't... It's Women's History Month, folks. We're not denigrating this hero. Her ass looks weird. Yeah, not my cup of tea personally, this Bonnie Blue lady. But you should be trying to marry her. You really should. This woman, this is the Hillary Clinton of our time. Crazy stuff. Let's continue. This is crazy. Dude, we have to listen to the new hit single from the MAGA rapper we've reviewed a couple times. Let's listen to the new lyricism. You thought Kendrick Lamar was good? Wait till you hear this.
Everybody tripping on the word nigga, man. Nigga this, nigga that. I guess I'm a white nigga. Shit, you probably met a couple white niggas just like me. I'm up early in the morning cause this bread don't bake itself. Turn my music up and listen if you tryna make some wealth. Keep a pistol on my hip so no, my waist don't need no belt. 20,000 that I made last night just laying on the shelf. Couple hundred on my neck, another 50 on my finger. Been a nigga my whole life, but now you trip that I say nigga. How you figure? It's okay to say when I'm bumping some jigger. Turn the music off and now it's racist. What the fuck's the difference, nigga? Nigga, look. Notice no R's, know why? Cause I put both of them bitches on my cars. Bitch, I'm busy making money, got no time for hate, nigga. Red, white, and blue, only colors that I claim, nigga. They tell me, bro, you can't say nigga if you white, nigga. I tell them word, I say any word I like, nigga. Fuck what you heard, bitch, I hustled my whole life, nigga. I'm a different type nigga, guess I'm just a white nigga. But they tell me, bro, you can't say nigga if you white nigga. I tell them word, I say any word I like, nigga. Fuck what you heard, bitch, I hustled my whole life, nigga. I'm a different type nigga, guess I'm just a white nigga. But they tell some haters say I cannot rap. Made a meal off MAGA rap. Then I made another mill, then 2 million after that. And I can keep on counting, but you get the point, nigga. And I'll keep saying nigga till they get the point, nigga. Pulling up.
I think that's enough. So the name of this song is White N-Word. What I really would like to do, and maybe Glenn Beck can help me, is I would like to bring back Abraham Lincoln to life. And I'd like to get him to see the Gettysburg Address leads to this.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter. We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
God, dude. Yo, Abraham. You know that little war you did? It ends up with this. No, I mean, I'm not gonna knock the flow. I'm not gonna say thank you, Eves. I think he's Hispanic, by the way. I don't even think he's white, but oh my God, man. Can this fix race relations? You know, was this, if Martin Luther King had dropped this track, would we have gotten past all of it? You know, because everyone's clowning on it, but imagine if this works. Imagine if you are a white N-word and not a wigger, a white N-word, you become the white N-word. Then in that case, maybe we're all safe or something. I just you know, he has the Rolls Royces, the perp, the bitch, nice car, got the crib, he got the gas station, the tattoos, the bling. I feel it would be presumptuous of me to say what N-word culture is. And I don't mean black culture. I mean N-word culture. Like, because he's using the N-word. I assume, no, I kind of know there's different subcultures in the black community, obviously. I don't know. In Colombia, there was this thing called the Sicario culture of like hitmen, you know? So I assume that at this point, with the controversy around this word, there is an N-word culture. How does he measure up on the N-word culture scale? Because on the black scale, I don't think, I think of black people, I think of like George Washington Carver. I think of other, Sicario, like the movie. Yeah. Sicario, because it means hitman in Spanish. But I think of George Washington Carver. I think of Malcolm X. I think of that. But I don't know if white N-word. If on the N-word scale, I don't think I'm on the N-word scale at all, actually. So I just, maybe it's not for me to say. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. All right, we have to get to the show now. We have to get to this crazy shit, dude. All right, let's start with this. All right, this is not going to be easy to get through. A lot of Hispanic W's this year for La Raza. We're out here. We're winning. Maduro's out. Marco Rubio's making us look good. Bad Bunny did the Super Bowl, wasn't bad. Baseball championship, beat the USA. Anyway, it was all looking pretty good. And then I woke up today and Cesar Chavez is a rapist. So let's go through the history of Cesar Chavez a little bit here. And he's being deleted is what's happening here. He's being deleted from the sim. I don't even think he was a major player nowadays, but let's see. This is how Cesar Chavez was talked about last year, literally last year in March.
Today, California honors the life and legacy of Cesar Chavez, a leader who fought for justice, dignity, and fairness for farm workers and working families everywhere.
Alongside Dolores Huerta, Chavez championed the power of service and collective action.
Chavez led the 300-mile march from Delano to right here in Sacramento to expose the undeniable truth that food on our tables was harvested by the people denied their most basic rights.
That historic march ignited a movement that led to one of the most successful boycotts in history, rallying a nation and inspiring generations to demand dignity and fairness for all workers.
California is investing to keep workers safe. And remember, California labor laws apply.
All right, that's enough. So as you can see, last year we had here like total Aryan deference. These are specimens here. These are Hitler's dream. Gavin Newsom and this lady. Blonde, blue-eyed, perfect teeth, the most handsome governor in America, slick back hair. These are like this is the best of the Aryan race, right? This is like the best looking guys, right? These are the best looking guys for the representatives, right? I don't know who this is. His first partner, Jennifer Siebel. Yeah, that's his wife, actually. That's his wife. That's his first partner. Total, like, Nazi dream family. Very cool. I'm not shitting on it, dude. I like to see people look good. When I see a Hispanic family that looks good, I'm happy. When I see a black family, and when I see a white family that looks good, I'm like, that's cool. You guys are holding it down for the culture. That's good for you. They were like, look at Cesar Chavez. He's a great guy. He's like a really cool guy. We had the Aryans, doing a little tap dancing. They were like, oh, the Hispanics, they have some people here that are cool, people in the U.S., because normally it's about Hispanics outside of the U.S. And there's Cesar Chavez, being honored, being said, he's great, like, but there are years where weeks happen and weeks where decades happen, man. Eve says, does Newsom ever speak Spanish? I've never seen him do that, Eves. I'm going to look that up afterwards. That'd be funny to see if he does do that. And today this came out. All right, this came out today about how you doing, Doom. Let's see what happened with Cesar Chavez.
The late global civil rights icon Cesar Chavez is being accused of sexually abusing girls and young women while leading the United Farm Workers. The New York Times is reporting co-founder and labor activist Dolores Huerta and two other women claim that they are victims. According to the report, one of the survivors alleges that she was 12 years old when Chavez touched her inappropriately and then 15 years old when he raped her in Chavez Chavez was an American labor leader often credited with transforming conditions for agricultural workers. The report claims Chavez used his position of power to exploit women who worked and volunteered in his movement. The union has canceled events celebrating Chavez, calling the new claims, quote, disturbing, and says it's deeply shocked and saddened.
Firstly, I'm going to say this. There are similar allegations about Martin Luther King Jr., but they didn't take away his holiday. I'm starting to think that, you know how the Black Hebrew Israelites say that Black people are the actual Jews? I'm starting to think that Hispanics may be the real slaves. 400 years of slavery. You're going to take, it's not even a federal holiday yet. If we held it down for another decade, we would have another day off. Hispanics don't have one. You know, white people have Labor Day and President's Day, right? I guess Obama's in there, but, you know, whatever. That's white people. Black people have Juneteenth and MLK, and Hispanics don't have a single one. We were all about to get another day off. We were about to get it. Now, further, I would say, I thought this was over. I really thought that we were done with this kind of stuff. I thought Candace Owens ended this with the Harvey Weinstein thing. Like that he was actually innocent or whatever. I thought this was over. Cesar Chavez has been dead since, let me look up exactly when he died. Let me see exactly when he died. Cesar Chavez has been dead since 1993. That is 33 years. Masonic symbology, whatever. He's not here. I see even Robert said it. He can't defend himself. Is this true? Is it not true? I don't know. Didn't Roman Polanski do the same thing, and he's still out there making movies? All right. I'm not defending. I'm just, look, I find the whole thing suspicious. The New York Times put out this article. They announced they were going to put it out a week ago. That was going to be very controversial and bad for Cesar Chavez. Cesar Chavez, as I said at the start of the show, is probably one of the more interesting people here in the United States because he was anti-illegal immigration, Hispanic descent, wanted to preserve the Chicano culture, fought for workers' rights. He used to beat up illegals. I'm not endorsing that or saying that it's not good. Okay? All I'm saying is that this seems to conflict with the current vision of the globalists, not the globalists. What would you call it, dude? Like the Open Borders Party, which is diminishing in size, like the Open Borders people. But this is a guy who did a lot of good. At least that's the story. Maybe it's not true, but the way I learned about Cesar Chavez was this was a guy who was trying to make things a little bit more fair for everyone. And they come out with this, and we have to continue. I think we have another news story here. Yeah, let's watch this other one just so you can get a lot of context here because Dolores Huerta is going to be mentioned here. And Dolores Huerta is still alive. And I find this really weird because Dolores Huerta was asked a few years ago about how Cesar Chavez was against illegals. And she defended him. She said, no, that's not what he meant, blah, blah, blah. And that is exactly what he meant. I have the clip. But whatever. She's the one who said this about him. Let's see what she had to say about him.
Several women spoke with the New York Times, sharing their stories of alleged abuse. One woman, Anna Margua, claims that she was just 13 years old when Chavez allegedly abused her, and that the abuse happened dozens of times over a 4-year period. Another alleged victim, Deborah Rojas, said she was just 12 years old when Chavez first began sexually assaulting her, that he groped her, and then 3 years later allegedly raped her. Famed Latina activist Dolores Huerta also spoke with the publication. She spent years working alongside Chavez. Huerta alleges that Chavez raped her in 1966 and fathered 2 of her children. She says she never reported the incidents to authorities since police at that time were hostile toward the civil rights movement.
Okay, so this goes beyond, in my view, beyond like old allegations. Now, here we have something which a lot of people don't like to accept this. But this is one of these white people expressions that is, because white people have the best expressions, followed by, actually, yeah, I think like Hispanics and blacks are tied second, Hurt dog hollers, don't look a gift for it. White people have some great expressions. And one of their best ones, which is Hispanic inspired, is it takes 2 to tango. It takes 2 to tango. And let's say all of these allegations are true. Dolores Huerta is claiming that this guy, who she's defended since his death for 33 years, fathered 2 illegitimate children with her, and she covered for him and gave them up for adoption or something. Bitch, you're just as crazy as he is then. You're just as crazy. You are actually worse than Cesar Chavez if this is true. You could have protected people, and you didn't. You are worse, and you're still alive. So I want to hear what you have to say. You are worse than him. This is sick. If you are doing this, then you are sick. You're a sick person. You are going to come out 33 years later saying this. I don't know if it's true or not. Let's say it's true. So what does that make you? Because that's more than an accomplice. That makes you a rapist as well. In your own way. You are just as bad. You are just as bad. And a really quick aside here. I see a lot of conservatives today on Twitter being like, civil rights people are all evil. You know, this is great. I love this. I don't understand this. So conservatives hate illegal immigration. I respect that position. Okay, you don't like illegal immigration. I get it. Now, this is where I'm confused. Cesar Chavez was against it as well. And he wanted people to be paid higher wages to protect American jobs in America. So why would this make you happy? Because he's Hispanic? You know, he's Hispanic. Someone's doing the raping. You know, why would that make you happy? This was a guy who was trying to keep the country in a way that was favorable to labor. Aren't you the multiracial working class party now? Aren't you for, you know, people having workers' rights and all this? Because if you're a libertarian, you should be geeking off this. If you're a libertarian, you're like, hell yeah. Yes, a union leader. I get that. I respect it, you know. But you're a conservative. You're talking about, listen, they're not going to pick the fruits, the white guys. They're not going to do it. I've seen it, dude. I've seen it. The black people aren't going to pick it either. It's going to be Mexicans. That's it. Hondurans, Mexicans, Guatemalans. Dude, Venezuelans don't have the stamina for it. Literally, dude, you know what's funny? Is when you look at the pyramids in Egypt and then you look at Egyptians, you're like, there's no way you guys are the guys who built that. When you look at a Mexican and then you go to a Mexican pyramid, you're like, yeah, you guys definitely built this. This is definitely you. I can see that this is not up to code, but it looks very impressive. It's a beautiful pyramid, very cool. I can see a couple of cervezas on the side. This is definitely built by the Mexicans. It's the same people, right? But here we have Cesar Chavez, who everyone should like in principle if you're against capital or skeptical of capital, and you don't. You're not. You're just, oh yeah, great, Hispanic guy is evil. I'm not defending him. I don't know if this is true. Maybe it's completely true. But if it is true, we need to arrest Dolores Huerta right now. We need to arrest her. There's no way she gets to go on. You covered up for a rapist. You are just as culpable. Let's continue. Here she is. This is Dolores Huerta saying, I can no longer stay silent. What changed? Why can't you be silent anymore? I'm very curious why you can't be silent. Why can't you be silent? Calladita te deja bonita. No, I'm sorry. That's a sexist expression in Spanish. You're not supposed to say that. I don't get it. I literally don't get this. How could you say this now? This is your friend, your ally, to the point that you're saying you protected him. Not to get too Michael Tracy here, but this is Michael Tracy. Like, I have to become Michael Tracy and say, listen, you may be an Epstein victim, sure, maybe. Why you were recruiting girls for him? So is that, you know, what does that make you? A victim? It makes you something else. It makes you actually kind of worse. So what does this make Dolores Huerta? What does that make her? Okay. And so just so we can have some context, here you can see his views on immigration, which is very coincidental with this whole thing dropping. This is a clip. Tucker Carlson likes Cesar Chavez, man.
This question of the illegals I find very interesting. Would you say that it's, at this particular moment, as important as any of the other problems facing the union?
Oh, yes. In the last 3 weeks, the last 2 weeks, it has become an emergency for us. Well, there's an awful lot of illegals coming in by the hundred, by the thousands. Our people are not only in some of the crews where there's now strike breaking. Some of those crews are 100% illegals, outright, openly, with no attempt to disguise it. And so it's so bad now that We estimate 60 to 70% of the farm workers in California, of the resident worker, of the citizen, is out of a job because of the wetbacks. They're coming in by the thousands, just unbelievable. See, they're coming in with the consent of the Immigration Service, which is part of the Department of Justice. How else could they come? We, for instance, know that if you go to Coachella, you go to around the El Paso area, the secondary immigration checkpoints have been unmanned now for at least 3-4 weeks. They're closed. They're at night. They're dark. There aren't any patrolmen there.
That's enough. So I know there's offensive language, wetback, in that. And maybe Cesar didn't express himself properly, all right? Maybe he's used words that we don't use anymore, talking about wetbacks. You know, it's not. But if you go to Central America, by the way, they refer to themselves as mojado when they're going illegally. So, you know, because wetback isn't just like a slur. It's because you come wet because you go through the Rio Grande, usually. This is, I don't understand. This seems so convenient. It really does, man. The conservatives celebrating this was what was really confusing to me. This is how he in this clip is fighting against human trafficking. He's accusing the US government of being a human trafficking operation, of trafficking illegals across the border. And maybe he has some hate for them because he has to work with them and they affect his wages. But putting that aside, do you want that to happen? Do you want people to come here and, from a humanitarian point of view, do you want them to live in fear of their employer, of ICE, of these things? Like, do you want that to, or would you prefer for their countries to be prosperous as well, so they don't have to come here at all? I just don't understand. So I'm not taking a stance here on immigration. I'm just saying I don't get why you could be this angry. Like, this was a guy who was fighting to stop human trafficking. And I just find the whole thing suspicious. And we can see, here's the reaction. Here's Governor Greg Abbott, who finally stood for something, you know, out of his wheelchair. I'm kidding. The state of Texas will not observe the Cesar Chavez Day holiday. I'm directing all Texas state agency heads to comply in the upcoming legislative session. I will work with any Texas lawmakers to remove Cesar Chavez Day from the state law altogether. Reports of the horrific and widely acknowledged sexual assault allegations against Cesar Chavez rightfully dismantle the myth of this progressive hero and undermine the narrative that elevated Chavez as a figure worthy of official state celebration. Don't you hate illegal immigration, Greg Abbott? Like, I seem to remember that you sent a bunch of them to Martha's Vineyard and DC because you were mad. I thought you didn't like them. He was not for it. So I don't understand it. And this just makes me feel like it's partially, maybe it's political, but partially it's also a grift of, you know, whoever owns the street sign company is going to make a lot of money. But, you know, also, yeah, I see Doom says that. How is he progressive? Maybe at the time, I guess he was progressive because he was fighting for labor rights. Dude, if you're not skeptical of capital in 2026, in the big 2026, if you're not skeptical of how you get shafted by your employer, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'll tell you is that you're the perfect goy. You are the greatest goy to ever live.
I always wonder how dumb this goyim sometimes can be.
I just want to keep working. I want to keep... Dude, what are you talking about? We had here, this is more reporting on a mural of his.
Cesar Chavez Day events in Austin and across Texas are being canceled as the United Farm Workers Union distances itself from the late labor leader. Allegations of inappropriate sexual behavior involving women and minors has Austin community organizations canceling the annual Cesar Chavez Day March. They are also questioning if the major cross street named for Chavez should be changed. These allegations are surfacing more than 3 decades after the late civil rights and farm leader died. Cesar Chavez Day events in Austin. And
also, aren't conservatives, and I'm actually amenable to this position, against taking down monuments so that we can learn from history? I never liked the tearing down monuments person. I never liked it. I never did. I don't care if the Confederacy were traitors. Dude, we need to keep those monuments. Those monuments, they add some pastiche to the landscape. They're going to be replaced with something that's going to be some shitty pop art. Okay? Despite what those guys stood for, shouldn't we remember that that's what was here at some point? Whether you love them or hate them, you go, why would we take this down? This is important. They always go like, oh, we took down the Nazi stuff. Okay. Being right once doesn't make you right all the time. Doesn't make you right all the time. And why would we let's say he's a rapist. Let's say he is. Don't we want to keep that up to be like, listen, man, we have to be careful before we put these signs up. We have to be careful because sometimes it results in this. And now I'm uncomfortable while I drink my latte on Austin Street because I have to look at the name of a rapist. Dude, if they're going to rename it, they should rename it to something like, I don't know, like John Wayne Gacy Avenue or Ted Bundy Street. If we're playing this game, why don't we just go with people that we know are bad? Why don't we do that? Why don't we name it Hannibal Lecter Street, the bad guy from Alien, the little alien Street? Why don't we do that? Because we know those are the bad people, right? What are we doing here, man? Like, this statue thing has gotten so annoying. And I thought it was over. They wanted to take down I think they took them down, a Diego Rivera mural in California. Diego Rivera is one of the greatest artists to ever live. And they took it down. For what? For what? Because it was racist? He was literally a communist. And they took it down. Let's just name it Jeffrey Epstein Way, dude. Like, that'd be better. That way we can all agree, hey, this is Jeffrey Epstein Way. We pass by here and we mourn his victims or something. Or we admire the drip or something like that, Robert says, has there even been a trial? Are they going on someone's word? Where's the proof? So they're canceling out before they have the whole verdict. Or the proof that they have, from what I saw, is the 23andMe DNA test that his children took, his illegitimate children. And it's like, okay. Also, that's something odd that happened in this century where, listen, man, I'm not defending illegitimate births or something, but that was very common in the past. You have illegitimate children in your family. You have bastards in your family. And it doesn't mean that they were all conceived through grape. Things were more complicated back then. You go to the grandpa's funeral and there's another family. The secret family index was at an all-time high. You're not Nietzschean enough to do it today, but they used to do that. And that's the evidence, that's the evidence. And yeah, they want to take down the Lincoln statue. That was crazy. That Lincoln statue is kind of wild though, dude. You know that the Lincoln statue, the one they wanted to take down was him kind of like petting a liberated black guy. Did you know the black guy in that isn't like a fake historical figure? It's a real guy. And he is Muhammad Ali's ancestor. I'm not even fucking with you, dude. Look it up. It's crazy. It's some crazy shit. As you can see here, they covered his statue in Fresno. They covered his statue in the Guayabera, Mexican Guayabera. Yeah, dude, it's crazy. And here we have even just so you can see the contrast. This is today. This is Gavin Newsom talking about the whole thing. You saw him all cheerful last year.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the question, and it's an appropriate one. I mean, we're all absorbing. We heard some rumors as early as yesterday, a few days ago, someone said something may be coming out, an investigation as it relates to this. And, it's March 30th, I think at the end of the month, Cesar Chavez Day. And, every year the governor of California proclaims Cesar Chavez Day. It's in the statute. How many days I've marched, how many times I've been with students, talking about the movement, and how many photographs I have in my house of Bobby Kennedy and Cesar Chavez. Woke up this morning, it was right there. And so it's been hard to absorb this. Jen and I are very close with Dolores, so many of us are, but very close. Have been for decades and decades, and none of us knew. And we were sharing all this. And so I think all of us are processing it. And just these kids have to process it now. I mean, I think there's, Brooks, I don't know, 3 dozen schools in the state are named after Cesar Chavez. I don't know, community in the country. I traveled to 14 states last few weeks. I think I was, in 14 Cesar Chavez streets.
Heartbroken. Ephra asked me to look up who broke the story. I actually asked Gemini. Let's see who it is. Heartbroken. Last year glazing him, and now it's don't glaze him. It was broken by the NYT, specifically Manny Fernandez and Sarah Ortiz. And they spent 5 years investigating it after receiving a tip in 2021. They interviewed 60 people, reviewed hundreds of pages of confidential union records, emails, photographs, and reported a 5,000-word bombshell. Manny Fernandez is the Times California editor at large. Let's ask, what could have motivated the authors? What do they believe in? Let's see what Gemini has to say. Based on their professional history, they're both described their 5-year appear rooted in a specific brand of investigative journalism. Manny Fernandez is a blue-collar contextualist. He's a human-first approach and a context obsession. Fernandez believes that individual crimes or scandals always suggest something larger. And Sarah Ortiz is a humanitarian investigator, heavily focused on gender and systemic power dynamics, focused on gender and human rights and scientific rigor because she has a master's in science journalism. Listen, dude, I don't know how this is going to play out. I really don't. I assume they're going to take down the streets and all that. But it's really something, man. It's really not great to see. And I'm really suspicious. I think we may have more to the story later on, but I'm just suspicious. All right, let's move on. We have to get to Joe Kent. So Joe Kent, I did a lot of gathering here today of information of Joe Kent to understand what's going on. Okay? All right. So firstly, I have to read you Tulsi Gabbard's statement. If you don't recall, Mark Levin said that Joe Kent is literally a disciple of Adolf Hitler who reads the Elders of the Protocols of Zion every morning with his morning tea, actually. With his tea, it's not coffee because he's evil. So he's drinking tea and he's evil. Every morning, Joe Kent wakes up, salutes his swastika flag, vintage World War II, with the Roman salute, goes downstairs, says white power, sits down with tea and sauerkraut before he opens his first edition of the Protocols, followed by Mein Kampf, and reads through them. That is Joe Kent's, Christian Bale had a morning routine in American Psycho. His morning routine is that. Then he starts to literally sing Erica. Da, 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 Erica. And then he goes to work. That's Joe Kent's morning, every morning. That's what Joe Kent does. That's who he is. He is a full-on Nazi. You may be doubtful. You may not believe it. But Mark Levin told me, so it's definitely true, okay? He drives a Volkswagen Beetle. He carries a Luger. He requested a Luger pistol to carry as a sidearm. They had to get it custom made. This is a little weird. It's a little weird, but all right, whatever. We'll do it. Okay. A Nazi How you doing? I and everything. When are they going to cancel Al Sharpton? Al Sharpton's still alive. Like, they should go after him. They really should. They should. I agree. But all right. That's all right. That's all right. So Tulsi Gabbard, she was a peacenik. She was against, the war in Iran. She sold t-shirts that said no war with Iran. Came out and said this. Donald Trump was overwhelmingly elected by the American people to be our president and commander-in-chief. As our commander-in-chief, he is responsible for determining what is and is not an imminent threat and whether or not to take action he deems necessary to protect the safety and security of our troops, the American people, and our country. The office of the DNI is responsible for helping coordinate and integrate all intelligence to provide the president and commander-in-chief with the best information available to inform his decisions. After carefully reviewing all the information before him, President Trump concluded that the terrorist Islamist regime in Iran posed an imminent threat, and he took action based on that conclusion. Okay. All right. That's how it is. All right. This is just true. Very strong rebuttal to Israel controls America. Very strong from Tulsi Gabbard. And Tulsi Gabbard has some credibility, right? Because she's anti-war. She's, she's saying, nope, Joe Kent, Mark Levin's right. This is a bad guy. We made this decision on our own. Okay. This whole thing gets really complicated, and I'm not going to tell you here that Israel controls the United States. It's not what I'm trying to say here, because I don't have enough information on that. Although, of course, they have influence like any foreign lobby, right? Regardless. And I actually, they have no influence. I want to be on the good goy list. They have no influence. They're great. All right. They're our greatest ally. Leave it alone. All right. Please leave it alone. Anyway, this is important. This is a very, very important statement from Tulsi Gabbard. Israel's not running things. We run shit here. We run shit. We have the hard men in this country. They're not in that country. The hard men are in America.
I like to get a bunch of men together.
Okay.
Men that are the hardest of the hard. And I want to be with these men.
All right. We have the hard men. We have the hard men. Us. Little Israelis think they can run. All right. How you doing, bearded monarchist? What's up? How you doing? I'm doing okay. We had a little tumble there with the Hispanic thing. All right. We had a little tumble with the Hispanic thing with Cesar Chavez. This is CNN covering in the aftermath of Joe Kent's revelations that Israel controls America.
Yeah, sometimes you look at the polling data and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you, and this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins. That's every third down. They're doing tricks on it, dude. The MAGA people are doing tricks on it. These are North Korea numbers here. We have total approval. I completely approve. This is, brother, Kim Jong-un wishes he had. I think Kim Jong-un got 99.7. We have 100% here. Miami Dolphins, undefeated season. Only team to ever do it. Shout out to the Miami Dolphins. We're not doing great, but whatever. Doing tricks on it, 100%. We completely approve. Okay. Now, people started making edits over here of Joe Kent. This says here, Joe Kent, former Green Beret, TFO, and Ground Branch. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry, dude. I was only Navy SEAL. I was SEAL Team 2, so I'm not aware. And we actually have better techniques than the Green Berets and whatever the TFO. We don't even think about the Ground Branch, okay? I was on SEAL Team 2. I was one of the guys who took out the Somali pirates that were holding up our wonderful Captain Phillips. Okay, I was SEAL Team 2. We do things a little bit better than you guys do at Green Berets, okay? All right. Lost his wife to ISIS in Syria. All right. Well, they're running Syria now, but whatever. He knows wars. And they made this little edit of Joe Kent here. Let's watch the edit because I find it to be, it's very heartwarming. Now you watch Joe Kente cloth over here. And I guess it pulls at your heartstrings, you know, like this handsome Chad. You know, this is great. Handsome Chad. I look at this and I see a CIA guy. I don't get it, dude. No matter how much you agree with Andrew Bustamante or John Kiriakou, I see here a guy. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to let you finish, but I have to say this. I see a guy here who did not resign when he had to kill a whole bunch of goat herders out in the Middle East, but had to resign to Trump. Where is our Praetorian warrior spirit? Everybody gangsta. When on the other end of the scope, it's some goat herding idiot that you get to, in flip-flops, that you get to blow his head off. But when you have a little paperwork, you gotta resign. I see a trained liar. I see a CIA, like, dude, I don't trust any of these guys. I met Joe Kent. I told you, he was a lovely guy. I spoke to him for like 45 minutes. Very nice guy at the Trump Doral 5 years ago. Very lovely guy. And I was like, I don't want to be anywhere near this guy because this guy is part of the CIA and he's a liar. And everything he told me was probably a lie. All right, perfect. All right. Thank you, Lord Bebo. Let's continue. Let's see here. Jake Tapper had this to say about him. Vox released an article today called Anti-War Anti-Semitism is Not Okay about this whole thing. So let's see here what Jake Tapper has to say here.
Joe Kent resigned today. He says Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States. He blamed the war and also the war in Iraq and also the U.S. war against ISIS in Syria. He blamed all of it on pressure from Israel and the pro-Israel lobby. Kent's letter also, first of all, before he was confirmed as director of the NCTC, he faced Senate opposition because of ties to white supremacists and anti-Semites. His letter blames Israel and absolves Trump, blames Israel for the war in Iran, blames Israel for the war in Iraq, blames Israel and its supporters for ISIS, for the war on ISIS in Syria. And I think there are a lot of people today wondering, how did somebody like this get a position like this in government given his anti-Semitic views?
A legitimate question. I'm personally glad he's gone. NCTC is a very important operation that connects the dots to protect the American people, particularly right now in a high state of terror alert. This anti-Semitism that we've traditionally seen on the left, we're now seeing it a little bit on the right side here. He's not the type of individual I personally would want to appoint to that position, given his anti-Israel views and his quite frankly, president views.
Okay, so Joe Kent is anti-Semitic. Let's add that to the list of things that are anti-Semitic. Can I still order a lox? Is that allowed, or is that cultural appropriation anti-Semitism? Like, what are we? Now, I would tell you this is a big deal. Okay, I would tell you it's a big deal, but Jake Tapper, I will remind you, did not know that Joe Biden had dementia until last year. And he wrote a whole book about it. So I don't trust his judgment too much. I would prefer Brian Williams even. I would prefer a schizophrenic at the corner store. His logic would probably make more sense to me than Jake Tapper. You know when you leave the 7-Eleven and you should have stayed home, but you really, really needed that core power protein shit. You were feeling it. And you go outside and some skinny schizo comes up to you and he starts telling you about how he just listened to the latest Candace Owen podcast and he thinks that the microphone on Charlie Kirk's neck was a bomb. And you're being polite, you're hearing him out. That is more valuable to me than whatever Jake Tapper says here. But all right, it still matters because it's CNN. So, all right, let's continue. Here is Dan Bongino, who had this to say about the renunciation? Is that how you say it?
Dan, now we've seen this before, right? And it's usually people who are really have gone hard left on everything. George Conway, Liz Cheney, John Bolton, John Kasich, the list goes on and on. You turn on Donald Trump and they embrace you for a time.
Yeah, this is the whose ox is gored effect. I mean, I've seen it with me during, my tenure in the administration, where they'll pick some right-wing radio host or podcaster they hate, who they call the conspiracy theorist or a nut job. And the minute he says something against someone they hate, Donald Trump or in my case me, they'll be like, respected voice in the conservative movement. They do this all the time. You're going to see this with Joe Kent in the coming days. Listen, Joe's decorated history of service is beyond reproach, and his sacrifice with his family is just unspeakable. I don't even like to think about it.
His wife, who passed,
however,
who was killed.
Yeah, I mean, there was her name is emblazoned on a plaque in a facility I can't really talk about, and when you read the story there, it's a tough story to read. But again, as I've said with other, the sacrifice is beyond reproach. That doesn't mean that this current opinion is any more fact-based, because it's not. I'm really sorry, Laura. I mean, I read probably a lot more intelligence than he did, because they don't have a law enforcement function, the National Counterterrorism Center. They're an analytical clearinghouse. They're valuable. However, I had access to just about everything. And how you could come to the conclusion that the Israelis did it and there was no imminent threat here? Really? What about the anti-ship ballistic missiles, the drone program, 440 kilograms of 60% enriched nuclear material, their constant death to America chance? I mean, that's called evidence.
Dan.
What I watch here and wonder is this, how supposedly Joe Kent's wife is dead because of ISIS? And Dan Bongino's like, I read the file and it's heartbreaking. I can't talk about it. Imagine if the file is that she slipped on a banana peel in Syria or something, and that's how she died. Imagine like the most Three Stooges CIA death. Like she was like Home Alone. She burnt her hand on the door handle and she fell backwards through a window like OJ in Naked Gun. Fell down she's going, and finally she slips on a banana peel and she goes into a tank of sharks and gets eaten. I don't know if that's how she died, but they can't tell us. So that's going to be my view of how Joe Kent's wife died. She was eaten by sharks after slipping on a banana peel in Syria. Oh my God, dude. It's just Bongino. All right, man. I appreciate you, Bongino. This is great. So they're mad that the libs are happy. All right, great stuff. Let's continue. Now this came out today, and people are saying that this is the reason. People are saying that this is the actual reason he resigned, and the whole thing is a show. This is Fox News, so we're gonna expect a more pro-war angle.
I'm gonna go. Sources are saying that Joe Kent, the former director of the United States National Counterterror Center, this is from Semaphore, he just resigned. He's now under FBI investigation for allegedly leaking classified information. And the investigation predates his departure. Congressman, your reaction to that tonight? Wow.
Well, there's a lot there, and I think that we need to let this investigation play out, but we shouldn't tolerate any leakers in the administration, particularly regarding classified national security interests and information. So we'll let this play out and see where it goes, but if he was leaking, he ought to be held accountable just like anybody else would be.
Now, 5 minutes ago, he seemed to think that Iran was a big threat, and then suddenly that threat went away.
All right, we'll get to that. They're calling him a leaker. They're calling him the worst leaker in the history of leaks, perhaps ever. They might as well call him the N-word.
Say the N-word, go on.
They might as well call him that. He's a leaker. He's the N-word. He's literally a Nazi. He's leaking. He's leaking. You check his shoes, they're full of water. He's leaking. He's leaking. He's a leaker. So this is a reason to be suspicious of the whole thing. And maybe he resigned in order to avoid this investigation or something. I don't know how these investigations work anymore. Does anyone actually know? Trump was investigated for 4 years when he wasn't president and nothing happened. So whatever. I mean, I don't fucking get it. If there's any lawyers in here. So, firstly, we have to look at this. This is Joe Kent in 2024 on the Sean Ryan podcast talking about Iran.
Still registering for the draft, aren't they? Like that's the logical conclusion to the direction that we're heading in right now, unless we make some serious changes.
I mean, I've already heard rumors that Fifth Group is going to be sending guys to Iraq because of the escalated situation with Iran now.
Yeah. I mean, most Americans aren't aware of it. Our troops in Iraq and Syria have been attacked 150 plus times by Iranian proxies. And when we say Iranian proxies, we got to be clear on what that is. That's the Iraqi government that we pay. Because after the Iraqi military we spent $2 trillion on surrendered to ISIS, we had to go back in there in very short order and stand a military back up again. And guess who filled the breach? The Shia militias controlled by Iran did. And the Iraqi government's controlled by Iran. So they're still registering for the draft.
So Joe Kent, Jose Kentekloff over here, seems to have been a lot more jingoistic about Iran before he was in office. Okay? So he changed. He changed in the course of 2 years. All right, that's interesting. Okay. And today, I forget who said it, man. Someone said it in the chat. And you're vindicated. You were right. Another $100 trillion to the EFRA or I Hate Everything or Mr. Elu or Eves is always right jar. Forgot who said it. One of you guys said it. But you were like, dude, could he just be trying to grift and become a media guy? Today, he comes out and goes on to do a Tucker Carlson interview. Okay? He does it. And he's agreed to debate Mark Levin. Bless you, Jesus. It's going to be great.
It's 90% bullshit, but it's entertaining.
It's going to be great. It's going to be the greatest thing. It's going to be great. That was you, Mr. Elo. I knew someone said it, and I was like, fuck, man. He was right. He was right. So let's see a little bit about what he was doing on the Tucker Carlson show here.
I'd love us to run the experiment. We try that.
What would happen?
You know, the Israelis, again, they have the ability to go out and collect great intelligence. They have a very capable military, but they're a very small country. I think Israel would be able to defend itself. I think it could conduct, limited strikes on its borders. I think it could continue carrying out pretty impressive targeted assassinations against its adversaries. And so I think you would see it relatively contained. What it couldn't do is go topple entire governments. It couldn't do something like the Iran war, the Iraq war. It couldn't aggressively, destabilize Syria. These big, heavy lifts of regime change that America has been engaged in, Israel could not do on their own, which is where you get back to the Israeli lobby being just so potent and so powerful and so aggressive.
So and I want to ask you about that because that's the line that you're being attacked for. And so I want to go through and have you explain more fully.
You can watch the whole thing because we're short on time on your own. But as you can see, Joe Kent reiterated his points that Israel controls America, and especially in the context of this war. I don't think Tucker asked him about what it's like to be gay, which surprised me because Tucker is really into that. Or if the giant bones are at the Smithsonian, I would like to. Tucker had the guy to ask. I would like to know if this is your average Tucker Carlson interview. Right. So how does it feel to be gay? Like, how does it feel to put it in your bum? That is your Tucker Carlson. I didn't see any of those questions. Maybe he said it. I didn't watch the whole thing, dude. Maybe later he was like, Joe, now can we talk about something else? Something that really interests me. You're talking about Israel and all this. But what is it like to be gay? And then Jose Kentekloff is like, I'm not a gay, Tucker. And Tucker goes, okay, but let me tell you what I think it's like to be gay, okay? And then they talk about being possessed by demons. All right, but what's important for us to watch is actually some Piers watch. I Hate Everything says, do you think Joe Kent knows about the hummus torture technique? That's what Tucker should have asked him, right? He'd be like, hey, have you heard of this? That's a good one, man. They put hummus up his ass. Great stuff. So we have to break over here because our favorite, dude, two of the greatest wizards, one of them's not doing too well right now. We might have to hang his jersey from the rafters. And you know who I'm talking about. Victim of the Groyper curse. Met with another great wizard, the necromancer. I think that's what I'll call him, the necromancer himself, Glenn Beck. So we have to watch this on Piers Watch.
Hang on, no, hang on, no, hang on, no, hang on, no, hang on. No, sorry. I hear you and I accept that and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much. Say the M word, go on.
So I want to play the intro because it's, dude, Piers is back in the studio. You got to see this intro. This is crazy. This is crazy.
How this works out, I don't know. Could be fabulous, could be World War III.
When the Americans asked Britain to help, we've got to say yes. That is part of the special relationship.
Your account of British policy, I'm afraid, is a travesty.
No, hang on.
The Strait of Hormuz. The idea that Donald Trump didn't think of it, that is one of the biggest narrative lies I've seen in a long time.
Just to correct you on one thing, Trump literally said yesterday, nobody expected that about the Strait of Hormuz.
Every time I start talking, some Israel first son of a bitch comes in and starts talking over me.
America first, right there. American flag, bro. Right there.
Yeah, my ass.
Yeah. Cenk, for 15 minutes, you managed to stay relatively calm. Don't blow it now. Look, they spent billions on day one of the war.
You're cutting me off, Piers.
These are tiny amounts of money you're talking about.
You're making up
tiny amounts of money. Yeah. Piers, are you mental? $337 million.
All right, great stuff. All right, but we're gonna skip that a little bit because we have to get to the Glenn Beck portion. That's the part that's important for us because we saw him yesterday speaking about Joe Kent. So let's see here when he brought Glenn Beck in. Okay. Eve says, your Tucker with the high pitch is awesome. Thank you so much, Eves. I appreciate that. Nailed it. Thank you.
It was like 7 hours.
Ben, hold your fire for a moment because I'm going to bring in another guest briefly to discuss this. Glenn Beck, the founder of Blaze Media. He's broadcasting a live report tomorrow called Exposing the Islamist Blueprint for Conquering the West. Glenn, great to have you back on Uncensored. Been meaning to talk to you.
Brother, yesterday we saw a guy saying that the Mexicans were trying to conquer the West. Now it's the Islamists. The Chinese. Are the Papua New Guineans the only ones that are not trying to conquer the West? It's the Mexicans. It's the Chileans. It's the Chinese. The Japanese. My God. Everything says, good to see Piers' wife's boyfriend is working hard on these edits, just like he works hard on Piers' wife. All right, Mr. Suds over here.
About this war. What is your overview here? It seems to me a lot of things can be true at the same time. The Iranian regime is vile and evil, and no one should shed tears for the Ayatollah being killed or any of the top people running it. But that this massive strike by America in conjunction with Israel is already looking like it's not going to.
Glenn Beck is, by the way, we always do the outfit analysis, so he's a serious guy. I think this is Glenn Beck trying to look serious. I don't know what this look is. The quarter zip under the jacket with the unbuttoned shirt. And this is like wearing suspenders with a belt. I just don't understand what this is. These glasses, is Glenn Beck rizzing hose up with the Ray-Ban glasses or something? You know, the Ray-Ban camera glass. Glenn Beck comes up to the hose and he's like, have you spoken to AI George Washington? I have him back at my house. We can go see him together. But do you know, look at how red he is. Why is he so red? Red with the white hair. Gray hair, but red with the white hair? All right.
Be anywhere near as easy as President Trump hoped it would be. It's not going to be like Venezuela and these other situations. I mean, you add the Strait of Hormuz crisis, you add the attacks by Iran on the Gulf states and so on. Now, this has got the potential to become a massive hornet's nest, hasn't it?
So I have to tell you, I mean, you know, I've been listening to the guests, and with all respect to everybody, how the hell do you know what it's going to turn into? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I know that I'm glad I'm not the president of the United States.
But how does Glenn Beck not know? He could speak to the AI Ayatollah, and we could know how it is. Dude, Glenn Beck is doing this half measure. He has AI George Washington. Can't he make AI God too to tell us how it's going to turn out? Because we take AI George Washington at his word for everything. So Glenn Beck said AI George Washington approves of the Iran war. So I would like to know.
I wouldn't have had the guts to do it. Every president since Ronald Reagan said, we got to take care of that, got to take care of that. And they all kick the can down the road because they know this could be a nightmare. They know what Iran, the tentacles of Iran means. This president just decided, we don't know on what, but he decided, I'm going to go for it. So he goes for it. I know it wouldn't have been the decision that I would have made only because I'm a coward. This president is like, I'm just going to take care of it. So he does. How this works out, I don't know. It could be fabulous. Could be World War III. I think that's a much more logical place to be than arguing whether we should be in it or not, because that's not.
Brother. I mean, I'm a Bonjour. I'll take those odds. But I wonder if the normal person would take these odds. Listen. If you went into a restaurant, right? You go into Subway and they say, listen, today we're making the sandwiches. You don't have a choice. And you're like, okay, what are the options? And they say, the options are fabulous or World War III. Fabulous or World War III. Is there any other option? Is there anything in between? No. The sandwich is going to be fabulous or it's going to be World War III. I would be, I'm a gambler. I love to gamble. Fuck it, dude. Let's do it. Give me an AK in case shit pops off. But maybe it's fabulous. Maybe it's the best sandwich in fabulous or World War III. I don't know if you take those odds. I would take those because I'm a Bonjour, but those are strange odds. Fabulous or all right. And he couldn't do it because he's a coward. Okay.
Going to change anything.
But what about Glenn? I mean, I agree with you. I have no idea how this is going to play out. And if it was to play out successfully in the longer run for Trump, it could be a triumph. I mean, I wouldn't rule that out.
Right.
However,
and I don't care if it plays out well for Trump. I want it to play out well for the Iranian people, but America first. Yeah. But the rest of the world too. If we can make the world safer, that's great.
By playing out well for Trump, I'm assuming that if it played out that way, it would be obviously also good for Trump. But if it played out, I could see a situation where this plays out very badly for him. And in relation to you not wanting to do that because you're a coward, A, you're not a coward. But secondly, I do think it was an unbelievably big gamble for Donald Trump to take. I mean, a legacy-defining gamble. And I'm slightly, I've known him a long time like you. I'm slightly wrestling with the logic of doing it now with all the complexity and the difficulty involved in going after Iran in this way, given that he's facing the midterms in 6 months or so, already looking like he may lose the House, may now lose the Senate. We don't know. I'm not going to make any prediction. But if he was to lose both and lose all power over Congress, he becomes the kind of lamest of lame duck presidents for the last 2 years. And you're like...
Huge gamble.
And he didn't need to do it now, did he? I mean, his thing about there's going to be a nuclear weapon
So I don't know, because I don't know...
I don't believe that.
Right. I don't know what the intel was, and I said on day one, don't tell me about weapons of mass destruction. They're 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon. I've heard that since, the 1990s. I'm tired of that.
Yeah.
You show me the proof, and I'll go there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the intel was, et cetera, et cetera. I do know what is different this time around, and it doesn't mean it's going to work out, is we talk a lot about the ally of Israel, but the allies all throughout the Middle East are different this time. They are, I mean, he put that Council of Peace together. And what I think he's trying to do is he's already done it to Europe. He's trying to show Europe, you're toast. You are toast if you can't defend yourself, because we're not going to be able to defend you forever. And quite honestly, you're living a pipe dream. Go ahead and try to raise an army with all of the people that you have in your country now that you've let in. So he's taking care of that and saying, we're not going to be babysitting this. We're not going to babysit the Middle East. And I think between the Abraham Accords, the Peace Council that he put together, he built this coalition that I think he thinks that we're going to be able to go and strategically hit, not break it like we did in Iraq and Afghanistan, but disable it so that Council of Middle East can take control of that region and we can get the hell out. I think that's what he was thinking.
But how does it sit, Glenn?
This sounds to me a lot like this is how Bernie can still win. You know, just the super delegates. What are we talking about? I really am curious. War never changes. Okay, listen, let's be clear. I don't have the intelligence. You don't have the intelligence. All right. Maybe Iran tomorrow was going to activate the sleeper cells and they were going to send them out to tickle everyone. And it was going to cause chaos. Okay. Maybe they were doing something really bad. Maybe they were going to, I don't know, drop a nuke on Mauritius. You know, maybe they were going to do something really bad. So Glenn Beck here is saying something really interesting, that it's a position that I haven't really heard, but I bet it's always existed, which is Glenn Beck telling us to trust the experts? Is that what he's saying we should do? We should trust the experts because we're not privy to that information. And I understand I'm not privy to it. I'm just a stupid little goy out here being a goy. You know, I'm watching the sports ball and eating the goy slop. You know, I'm on the good goy list, okay? I'm on the good goy list, all right? But, I mean, can we not have an opinion or... No, you have to trust the experts. Glenn, what? Glenn, you're the same guy who was doing InfoWars on Fox News. You got kicked off because of that.
How does it sit with Donald Trump, the campaigner for the 2024 election, repeatedly saying that unlike Biden, Obama, all the others that came before him, I will not take this country into any more of these expensive, unnecessary wars in the Middle East. I'm going to focus on America first. I'm going to focus on the economy. I'm going to bring things roaring back. You know, I'm going to sort out inflation. I'm going to sort out cost of living. You know, when I say this could be a disaster for him in many ways, one way is simply that if the Strait of Hormuz does not reopen properly for weeks or months, God forbid, the knock-on effect in a few months' time on the American cost of living of the average American, both at the gas pump, food prices, and so on, from that Strait of Hormuz being strangled for a sustained period of time, could be absolutely unprecedented and horrendous.
Let me make it worse for you. The 2008 collapse happened because we had sustained oil prices over $130 a barrel. The Western world is not built for $130 a barrel sustained. If this goes poorly, it will collapse the economy, and not just ours, but of the West. It is a massive, massive gamble. However, I look at it again in just not endorsing, not anything, just trying to understand his mindset. He told me at one point, I was talking to him about other things, and I said, "Are you gonna be able to take care of these things in 4 years?" He said, "Glenn, I've got 2." If you're wanting to fix the American economy and get away from the World Economic Forum and everything else, you have to fix the big fundamentals first. And so that's what he's doing. He's fixing the fundamentals as he sees them. If you don't get us out of the Middle East, we're going to go back into the Middle East, the next president, because there'll be another war. What he's trying to do, and it may work and be...
This is just insane. Let's skip ahead here to when Piers brings up AI George Washington.
Terrorists of the world. You cannot stop now. So whether you like it or not, what is your option? If you want to be safe in a Western world from terror operations like Iran, forget about what happened yesterday or the decision that was made a week ago. Right now, you've got to finish it. You have to.
I just want to end just by playing, this is a fascinating thing you did. You interviewed an AI version of George Washington. And I just want to play a clip from that because it's very pertinent, I think. Let's take a look.
Okay.
I said once, to prepare for war is one of the most effective means of preserving peace. That's not saber rattling. That's different. It's insurance. Think of it like this. A homeowner who never locks their door isn't more peaceful, they're just more vulnerable. During the Revolution, even some Virginian leaders wanted to keep pursuing negotiations with Britain. But I came to recognize long before it became popular that some risks had to be met with resolve, not appeasement.
Very, very interesting comment.
He's not going to do it, but I wish that he had told Glenn Beck if he could get George Washington to
say the N word. Go on.
Like, just say it. You know, you know he was dropping N bombs back then. Like, just please say it. Say it.
It's a lot
So
of
you
what we're
know,
now watching.
This is AI. This is not ChatGPT. This
Yeah.
is proprietary AI. This is only based on all of the founders' writings, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And that was recorded in January.
Yeah.
That was not about the war.
No.
That this is going on.
How pressing.
Yeah.
Just finally, Glenn, there's a lot, as you know, the whole conservative movement in America right now is split in a way I've never seen it before. You've got
Neither have I.
the Ben Shapiro's on one side, you've got Tucker and Megyn Kelly and others on the other. Everyone's, raging away, but they're also having massive ideological disputes over a number of different issues in a way I've never seen. What do you make of this quickly, and how do you see this playing out?
I unfortunately see it destroying so many people on all sides of this. I mean, I'm not engaging in. I'm too old for this, especially when we get to micro penis. I think too old means I'm 13 to engage in that. We need to have the conversation about principles and not the people. I mean, I thought about you coming on today. I thought, I used to say horrible things about you. I didn't know you. And Piers, every time we get together, we might disagree with things, but we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
That's the way we have to
I
solve
agree.
this.
I agree. And we have a
cannot
very...
just keep torpedoing each
I
other's
agree.
personalities.
And we don't descend into really bad ad hominem stuff, which I think is often the refuse of somebody who doesn't really want to have the argument because they know potentially their argument is fragile.
Times are too serious in your country, in my country, in the entire Western world. This is not playtime.
Yeah.
This is time for adults to sit down and have logical conversations and say, ask any question. Everything is fair, but let's have a logical discussion about it.
Yeah. Glenn Beck, great to have you.
Thank you, Glenn Beck, for your appeal to logic. Again, yesterday, he literally said Joe Kent was a card-carrying member of the National German Workers' Party, but that doesn't really count. So, thank you, Glenn Beck. Two great wizards, ladies and gentlemen. Really something here where I don't understand. My Latino IQ is too low. I don't understand this white man talk. I don't get it. This Latino IQ no makes sense for white man here talk about the war. I don't get it. I'm Latino and slow. I know speak English. I just I don't get it, man. I don't get it. But all right, it's great stuff. Just fucking retarded, man. These people are just great stuff. All right, so I think we end with the moment of Zen. But before that, I just wanted to. No, actually, yeah, we're going with the moment of Zen. This whole thing with the fallout here is crazy. Make sure if you're new here, you guys, you like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the channel grow a lot. It really makes us feel good. Makes me feel good out here when you do that. Makes me feel very, very good. When you do that, it makes me feel good. All right, so let's end with our moment of Zen. This is too ignorant. This is great. All right, let's do this. This is some great stuff. I love this here. And I want to say a little bit about Kanye West, and we'll get out of here, man. One of my favorite people.
I might be fat, it won't kill me. The going slow makes me stronger. Drive through needs to hurry up now. I chuck and wait much longer. You know I got to eat right now. The line can't get much longer. Man, I've been doing it on that now. Need to refill my soda. I'm doing it right now.
The reason I wanted to play this, besides it's very funny, is I had a realization last night. I really did. I was thinking about Elon Musk. I don't think about him often. Oh, no. Dude, I had this realization where I'm pretty critical of Elon Musk personally. I know we have some Musk fans here, and that's okay. Okay. But I have issues with him. Because Elon Musk is a welfare queen. Okay. He is, I guess the rapper we saw earlier would call him a white N-word. Maybe that would be a good description of him. He is, every company he started has been at the expense of the public dole. Going back to Zip and X and what was X Payments, the first one, In-Q-Tel funded PayPal and all this stuff, right? And it really hit me that Elon Musk, it's Bill Maher that got me to start to think about this. Let me sit back here. This is the end of the show. Bill Maher got me to think about this because Bill Maher was angry. He was saying that Elon Musk has too much money because he has $800 billion. He's on track to be a trillionaire. DSA, Bill Maher? What? No. And it really struck me that he said that. Because Elon Musk has $800 billion. Now, the libertarians are going to come in here and tell me, King Leo, he doesn't have $800 billion. It's in stock. Okay, he has access to at least $1 billion. Let's say that $1 billion he has access to at a very low rate that he could take out at any moment to do something. Okay? Right now, he's building SpaceX or whatever, but Elon Musk could, in theory, a guy who claims to care about the TFR and families and all this, he could come out and build a neighborhood for young couples. And I'm not saying make it free. He could even make a little profit on it, but make it so efficient that every house costs $100,000, and only to married couples to have kids because he cares about the TFR. But he doesn't do that. And I started thinking more about him, and I was like, Elon Musk's positions on everything are the opposite of the way he acts. And not to get too Tucker Carlson here, but this inversion is called satanic in a lot of ways, where you say one thing and do another. So Elon is for the TFR, but he doesn't really do anything to help families. He spends his money on space. Elon is against government waste, fraud, and abuse, but he takes government money from SpaceX and all this stuff. Elon is not doing it for the money, as he says, but he still sues for his compensation package. And it really made me realize that maybe he's evil. That's a childish way of putting it. But when you act like that, and when you say stuff like that, and then you act in that way, it makes me very suspicious, because you're saying something, but you're acting completely different. And this isn't cognitive dissonance. This is something deeper, where you can be a libertarian but still take government money. I don't get it. I don't get it. And it really made me think, and it's a shame he got canceled. I think the only rich person in our lifetimes who actually tried to change things, not even make them better, change things, was Kanye West, of all people. Kanye West made a website. You go on Yeezy.com right now where everything costs $20. He was building custom housing that was supposed to be cheap. He wanted you to be able to 3D print your own shoes. That was the goal of the foam runner. So you would never have to buy shoes again. He wanted to break the Thelian thing of when you take off the screens, everything looks like the 1970s. He wanted to make schools. He made them. Then he had his whole controversy or something. But it really made me realize that a black rapper from Chicago is the only rich guy in our lifetimes who tried to change things here in real life. He was designing, his house survived the Palisades fire because he had custom cement used, designing sinks that don't need drains. And that really hit me. And I was like, God damn, dude, I always loved Kanye. I love him forever. I will never disavow. I love Kanye West. And even more so now, I was like, No one else has done that. Jeff Bezos hasn't done. No one has really sat down like Kanye did, and he was like, let me make it so that a whole village can 3D print shoes, and then they can wear them and ameliorate their life. Let me make it so my clothing costs $20 a garment, and it'll be maybe not the highest quality. They weren't made in Italy at that point. They were made in, I think, China, but they were accessible. And let me introduce the idea of schools that only focus on engineering and cars that are like those super cool dune buggies he was using. It's just him. No one else was doing this. Steve Jobs, but he's dead. I'm talking about right now. No one else had that. And I really miss him, man. I really hope he comes back because Kanye West is kind of like one of the last few hopes of humanity. Ephra says, do you think you can talk? Do you know you can talk to AI Mia Khalifa? I did not know that. Ephra. Where is that? Like, what website is that? Eve says, now remember, I would think Elon would be an easy impression. No, legalized comedy. That's the most I can do. But I didn't know you're from Chicago, Jim. That's cool. I'm glad. I know Mr. Elu's a fan of Kanye, so Kanye fans are gonna agree by default because I think a lot of us see and admire him for a lot of stuff. Dude, I admire him for George Bush doesn't care about black people. Slavery was a choice. All of this stuff, whether you agree or disagree, was so. He's a man who opens his mouth and a Full Metal Jacket 7.62 bullet comes out every single time. And someone gets hit, but we have to wrestle with him. We have to wrestle with his thoughts. And you know what really frustrated me thinking about? My producer's the one who said that. Because I brought this up to him and he was like, you know, you may be right. And he said, what must suck is that Kanye spazzing out, if that's what you want to call it, you know, like the anti-Semitism or whatever you want to call it, you know, just going crazy with, you know, making an enemy of black people, Jewish people, white people, everything, was probably him realizing, because I see Ephra saying something very similar here, that no one can let you do anything anymore. No one lets you do anything. Kanye was just trying to make the world more interesting, and they weren't letting him. And I'm not talking about the Jews or the whites or the blacks, but this Christoph planet we're on, it's just something is always stopping you. You know, you can't just, that's enough, Mr. West. You know, it's just, you can't, it's going to be Obama. It's going to be the banks. It's going to be Taylor Swift. Someone is going to fuck your shit up. And then he just like flamed out. You know, he was like, fuck it, dude. I'm going to make the HH song and that's it. And I that is sort of depressing. Even as a Baudrillardian, where you go, if you want to play with the world and you have all the tools available to you, you have the fame, the wealth, the family, all the incentives, Lex Friedman is going to come out of the woodwork and stab you in the neck with an ice pick. That's what's going to happen to you. All you're trying to do is make clothing of a higher quality. There's no seams on the Yeezy stuff because it's biblical. For $20, and these freaks are going to fuck you up. That really hit me, man. When I realized it last time, I was like, God damn, that is not a positive thought. Like, they really made this prison. Like, let's go on Yeezy.com right now. Look at this, dude. Everything is $20 on this website. Where is it? Just look it up on Google. I don't know if they took his website down. Yeezy. Where's Yeezy? Let's see. Yeezy. Oh, it's Yeezy.com now. It used to be YZ. Look at this. Look at this. This is what Kanye did. All of this is $20. Oh, well, I guess some of them are more pricey now, which makes sense. But this is $80 a coat, you know? You have all sorts of stuff on here. The shoes, they're made of plastic. They're $20. You're some villager in Colombia. This is an option for you. You know, you have that. Look at this, a bomber jacket, $80. This goes kind of hard. I might get this. Wow, that's fucking cool. Reversible, $80. Meanwhile, every fashion company is trying to rip you off. And there's a man here making fucking art for you, and all you can do is spit on him. This is belt. $40 for a belt. Dude, and it has some character to it. $40 for a belt, for a good belt, that's cheap, man. Belts in America cost $100 these days. A hoodie, $40. Better quality than whatever crap you can get. For men and women. I've been wanting to get these sunglasses, dude. They're cool. Look at that shit. $20. These here, $20. So you don't get ripped off by Ray-Ban, Luxottica. And all they could do was shit on him, man. And Elon Musk gets praise, I guess. But what does he do? Like, this guy was changing stuff, man. He was changing stuff. And they fucking... Dude, they won't let you do stuff. But we're not ending on a downer note. Let's watch it one more time because it's very funny. All right, let's do it again.
I might be fat, it won't kill me. The going slow makes me stronger. Try don't needs to hurry up now. I chuck and wait much longer. You know I got to eat right now. The line can't get much longer. Man, I've been going on that now. Need to refill my soda. I'm doing it right now.
One of the greats, man. Everyone, if you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I really appreciate Robert for the super chat. Let's get some air horns for Robert again. Everyone that showed up, Audio Vibes, Eves, Mr. Elu, Afra. Who else did we have here? We had Advanced Conspiracy Theory came in. Doom Shop. I Hate Everything. What else did we have in here? We had a Monarchist. We had some new people. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Tomorrow should be a good show too. Appreciate all you guys. I will see you in the Discord. I'm going to respond. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you then. Bye.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. 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 Change the world.